Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Do you want to be a Palia millionaire? Well, first off, there's a bit of an issue with that because the game cap is $1 short of a million, so you can't quite become a millionaire. But if you want to chase that gold cap, super easy to do. There's a bunch of tips that I'm going to share with you on how you can get there. We're going to cover what you need money for, all the different unlocks and everything that you can get with money, why money's important. Then we're going to dig into various things such as my favorite, gardening. We've got crafting, we've got hunting, fishing, mining, we've got everything. We're going to cover all these, how to make the most out of your money, and then we'll kind of discuss how the system works, because there is a built-in upgrade system within Palia as far as money making goes, as far as the crafting system goes. So we'll cover that as well. Hopefully you guys got you a cup of coffee. I got me one right here. So strap in, because we're fixing to dive straight into how to make money in Palia. So, what do you need to spend your money on in Palia? So if you're like me, you really enjoy decorating your house and collecting all the different pieces of furniture. If that's the case, the underground market in Palia is very, very important, and it does cost a pretty penny. So items such as these rugs or items such as these wall hangings, they are only available through the black market. These here on this side of the building are only available through the black market. Some of them cost a pretty penny, like this Emberborn rug. Some of them are a little cheaper, but you do need quite a bit of gold to collect all of them. There are other items here, such as these, that are only available in the market. Expensive bathtubs and bathroom furniture generally is in this section. This stuff is generally craftable, but it is available for a price as well. Not only that, but over here you can see that you can buy lucky coins for Zeki's thing if you're wanting to collect all the different furniture from it, or the plushies. You can buy the pirate coin piles. There's a bunch of wallpapers in here. There's recipes in here. There's tons of stuff here. And this is just the black market. Another thing you're going to want to spend your money on is here in the town hall. They have available crafting licenses, which allow you to have more crafters on your plot. You can have up to 30, but each one costs more and more. You can see that my next one would cost 32,000 gold. So you definitely need a good bit of gold to get this rolling, as well as all of the individual housing pieces that you can have on your house. So each of these costs, as well as the builder's recipes, all this stuff costs gold. So it's going to be very important that you have some gold. I would recommend you upgrade your crafting license as soon as possible. I would focus on your tools and stuff like that. But the quicker you can upgrade these crafting licenses, the quicker you can access better crafting, glowworm farms, worm farms, preserve jars, all that stuff just increases your gold over time super easily. So I do recommend getting these crafting licenses as soon as you're comfortable and feel like you can afford it. I would definitely step on these as one of my higher purchases for the long run profitability. So another thing you're going to need gold to spend on, I'm here talking to Ashura. This is the Foragers Guild, and you can see a lot of the recipes and the upgrades require a good bit of guild to be able to upgrade your stuff over time. Some of this stuff down here does require more of the coins, which you have to earn, but the early stuff that you need, you're gonna definitely need some gold to unlock all the recipes, all the different things you need to actually level up and improve your individual skills. Every one of the stores is going to have this. It's going to cost you a pretty penny. So definitely one of the things you're going to want to spend some money on if you want more plots for your house to decorate, or different areas to kind of segregate your different decorations or your different buildings or whatever. You're definitely going to want to invest in some housing plots. So the housing plots themselves, I believe you start with 3 initially, and you can buy more as you go, up to a total of 8. The initial ones are fairly expensive themselves, as well as the price increases as you go. I believe the last one I bought was over 300,000 gold. So they definitely get higher price as you go. You can see I'm using my mine for my main house. I have a tree farm where I'm growing flow trees. One area for doing cooking parties. One area for each of the individual flow trees that I'm kind of separating them. And I've got 2 extras that I haven't used yet. I kind of want to use one for maybe a little plushy area, but I haven't decided. So those are the ones I'm using right now. I've got 2 extras, but I do plan on using those for something else as well. It is very, very handy to have multiple plots to be able to separate things up. Like my workstation I'm at right now is completely separate from my housing plot, so I don't have to see my crafters and all that on my housing plot. I can kind of keep them separate and just go back and forth between as needed. So I do recommend getting some of these if you can, but it is going to cost you some money. So let's get straight into it. How are you going to make money in Palia? The first thing I want to discuss is gardening and farming. So planting crops on your property, growing them, and then using those crops to make money. So crops are a very, very, very useful tool as far as it comes to making money. Generally, you can plant them and water them, and it's like a slow passive income. There are tutorials out there that show you different kind of layouts, and I might make a separate video on this. Different layouts to help maximize your profitability from your garden. There are certain layouts for maximizing money, but then there are lazy layouts, which are the ones I like to use, because you plant them, water them, and then you don't have to, it prevents the weeds because of the way the crops are organized. They give buffs to each other. It'll prevent the weeds, and it'll completely keep it watered all the way until they're fully grown. You run around, harvest them, replant them, boom. You don't ever have to worry about weeds. You don't have to worry about watering. Aside from that initial water, it is super, super useful. As well as there are fertilizers you can add to it. I've been starting to use the Harvest Boost fertilizer. So the way I have my garden set up now is I'm not maximizing profit, but I do want to collect at least one of each plant on my property. I want to have storage of every single crop. That way, if I need it, it's there. So my current layout uses at least one of every crop, as well as being maximized so that it doesn't need to be watered, it doesn't need to be weeded. And then what I do is when I go home to drop off, or I go home, or I come in first thing and when I log in, or when I go home for whatever reason, I check my garden. If I need to pull tomatoes and replant, I pull tomatoes. If I need to water, I water. I don't usually need to water because I'm using the lazy layout. But whatever I do need to do, I jump into that, get it done, check on my garden, boom, 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 and then I go on to something else. So gardens are super, super, super useful for that. As you level up your skills and as you get unlocks to the preserve jars and the glowworm farms, that just increase, and your seed collectors as well, that just increases your profitability like crazy. My previous video I did was on the Palia tracker website. If you go over there to that previous video, you can see there's a gold tracker. It's a gold guide basically. And what it does is it tells you each crop what the best utilization for it is. So for instance, the bok choy is best used in the seed collector because the seeds you get out, the quantity you get out, is more valuable than making kimchi in the preserver. So what I've personally done is I've laid out every single crop that I have in the game, I have a crafter for. Whether it's more optimal to do preserves, whether it's more optimal to do seeds, every single one has its own crafter, and they're all laid out in a certain order that I've got, so I know it. And then I go through, when I pull my crops, first thing I do is I go dump them in the crafters. The real secret in Palia is that if you produce things with the things you have, it's generally gonna be worth more. So I preserve all my apples, I preserve all my blueberries, I turn my potatoes into seeds, and then I end up selling anything I have in excess and using the other ones for either my glowworm farm or to replenish my seeds I'm missing from my crops. That being said, secondarily, once you unlock these seed collectors, I highly recommend putting down a few of those and using those to maintain your seed inventory. Seeds are expensive. I don't like having to go buy them every single time. So I have a few, I believe it's four seed collectors on my property. I use these to replenish my seed supply when it goes beneath 30. 30 is my number that I like to use. It doesn't have to be 30, but 30 is what I like to use. So if I get underneath 30, I immediately start putting those crops into the seed collectors and getting that number back over 30. I keep my crops at 100 and my seeds at 30. There's no rhyme or reason to it. That's just the system that I prefer. Kind of like if I want to go do a cake party and do 100 apple cakes, I need 100 cakes, or I need 100 apples for that cake. If I want to go do something else and I want to do a 100 cooking party for something else, I need 100. So I'm keeping 100 as a good round number. I at least have 100, and that keeps me in the availability to go run and do a 100 cooking party at any time. I don't have to go hunt for stuff. I don't have to be like, okay, let me make sure I can get some more apples real quick so I can get caught up. I have them ready and available to go, so if a party does come up, I can jump straight into it. Aside from gardening, you can also make some money through fishing. Fish are a vital resource when it comes to cooking. There are various different fish in the game, various different locations you can fish. All of them have a valuable fish of some sort. There are a lot of rarer fish that are worth more, like moths from Elderwoods that they just released, or the ancient fish that you have to get by unlocking the bundle. There are various different styles of fish. They do different things as far as when you're fishing them. They have different actions, different methods on how they move, different ones that use bait. My highest recommendation is if you're just concerned with fishing to make money and you're not looking for specific fish, that you use glowworms. Glowworms tend to give the best profitability. You can go out, hit some random spot. Don't really matter as much which spot you use. You can kind of use a Palia tracker to see which fish are more valuable and maybe target those if you want. But overall, I don't think it matters as much personally. I do like using the ponds just because I get plushies out of the ponds. But I do like scouting the coast in Bahari Bay as well, because you can kind of hit all those star spots, and starfish are worth much more. So I do recommend you kind of play with it and see what you like best. I do generally hit Bahari if I'm not looking specifically for plushies. When it comes to fishing, if you're having trouble fishing, I want to make a video on this to cover it in more detail. But if you're having trouble fishing, there are various buffs that you can use to improve your fishing. There's a fisherman's brew, as well as multiple food items like fish stew, trout dinner, sushi, sashimi. All those give you buffs, and they're all different buffs that improve your fishing style. You might want to play with those and see if you're having trouble fishing that you need to get some buffs to kind of help you, as well as you can equip hooks that improve your fishing ability as well. The key with fishing for me is I generally sell my excess fish. I get a lot of fish when I fish, and I don't really cook enough with them to really make it worth it. So generally, if I don't need fish for something, I typically sell them straight out the way they are. That being said, there are specific fish you may want to keep a stock of on hand. I believe there's a recipe for the Bahari bass that only uses the Bahari bass. There's the trout dinner recipe, which is good for fishing, but it specifically requires something that is a trout. You cannot replace it with any other fish. There's a catfish dinner that requires specifically catfish. And I think there's more, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So you may want to look at some of the crafting recipes for cooking. And if there is a specific recipe you want to have on hand, like I want to keep some trout dinner on hand, in case I'm fishing in Elderwoods and it's a little harder, you might want to stock up on some fish and make sure you've got plenty of trout in your storage before you go selling them. Just in case you need to craft some more. I like to typically keep a little bit of that important stuff on hand, maybe a stack, maybe 30, something like that. But either way, fish are really, really good for making money, and you can cook with them, which just increases their profitability as well. Or you can also toss them into the glowworm farm to increase your profit. Next, we're going to cover insect catching. To me personally, insect catching doesn't seem to be something I like to do. There are instances where it can be profitable. If you toss down a honey lure and just go boom, boom, boom like crazy, you can make some decent money on it. It's not what I personally like to do, so I don't generally focus on it. But there is a good way to make money there, especially if you catch some of the rarer bugs or some of the uncommon bugs that are worth a little bit more. Now, that being said, if I am out in the wild and I'm working on something else and I see a bug that looks weird or looks different, I go get it. Generally, those tend to be the more rare, epic, or uncommon bugs, which are always worth more, especially if they got that little sparkle on them and they're starred. Yeah, you pick that up, it's going to be worth more. For instance, in Elderwoods, I ignore all the frogs. But if I see that fire frog, that red one, I always go for it. The flame-horned rockhopper, I believe it's called. I always go for it. That little dude is worth money. Especially if it's starred, it's worth even more. So generally, I don't recommend insect catching as a way of making money. You can make money on it. I just don't typically enjoy it as much. But if you see rare rare bugs out there, I would recommend going after them because you can make a pretty penny on it. Next up is mining. Mining can make you a decent amount of money. Typically, your biggest chunk of mining money is going to come out of your star stones. Your star stones are worth a good chunk of money, especially if they are starred themselves. You can as well turn around and use that ore to make tools or repair your tools, which saves you money, or to make arrows or make various things you need to do other activities to make money. So mining, I don't see mining as a super profitable function. You can make a little bit of money on it. There are some things you can only get through mining. There are some rare bugs you can only catch through mining. But in general, I don't think it's something I would focus on for profitability personally. You can make good money on it, though, if you do need to go get some stuff. There are a couple ways you can make some money. Next is foraging and gathering. Foraging and gathering can make you some decent money. You get some amber and some stuff out of the trees, the actual sap from the trees occasionally as you're chopping down trees. You do occasionally get those, and those are worth a good pretty penny, so I'd toss them in the sale box. I keep one or two on hand just for safety reason. I've never seen a use for them other than selling, but I keep one or two just in case. Just who knows what's going to come up in the future. But I do sell the vast majority of them. Drop them in that sale box and make you a good bit of money. Now, when it does come to foraging and gathering, it's not just trees. Trees are good for wood and for usability, but that's not where the money comes in for me personally. I see the best money in foraging and gathering and doing regular runs on Bahari Coast. On Bahari Coast, you can do regular runs and pick up shells, coral, and the oysters. So the shells are worth a good little bit. They're not crazy, but you're running through anyway. You might as well pick them up. They're worth a little bit. The oysters are not necessarily worth a good bit. I recommend you open them all, and you got meat that you can cook with, which is helpful. But there are occasionally pearls in there that do make you a good bit of money. And once you collect a stock of them, just in case, sell the rest, make a good little bit of money. But there's also coral, which is a rarer resource that is along those coasts, and it's worth a good bit of money too. So you can do a run from the top coast of Bahari Bay all the way to the bottom and collect all that, open all your oysters, turn around, boom, 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 sell your pearls, sell your oyster meat if you don't want it or you got too much, sell your shells, and sell your coral, and you can make a good bit of money. While you're out there, you can also come across some of the rarer crabs like the vampire crab or the spine shell crab, the purplish one that's kind of more uncommon. Pick up a couple of those on your way. It doesn't hurt. It's a couple extra bucks here and there. Make you a good little bit of money. Hunting makes a good little bit of money as well. You need the meat and the fur from hunting to craft things. You can process them into other materials. Hunting also has the rare like horns and the skin, the scales and stuff, the pixie spores, all the different little extra pieces that come off of the creature that you don't necessarily need. Those are worth a good little bit of money. I keep a few just on hand just in case, like I said, especially once you upgrade your storage a little bit. I would keep a little bit of everything on hand just in case you need it in the future, but I do sell off the majority of it because you're not going to need nowhere near that much. So those are worth a good bit of money, plus they give you some food that you can turn around and use for cooking. It's just everything in Palia gives you a little bit that can be used somewhere else or can make you a little bit of money. So all your skills are very, very beneficial. So I saved this one for last because to me, this is one of my favorite ways to make money is cooking. Cooking parties are super fun. You can cook with friends, with a small group. You can cook by yourself, or you can do a cooking party. They're all profitable, but the more people you get involved, the more money you make. The way a cooking party works is that you get a big recipe that has a ton of steps. Say the celebration cake, which is what we usually do. It's got 4 ground sweet leaf. Each one of those can be done by a different person. So, for instance, we'll take one spot. Let's say your job is sweet leaf. You jump on the sweet leaf. You have, say, we're doing 100 cakes. You've got 100 sweet leaf in your inventory. Every time we make a cake, you put in 1 sweet leaf, you grind it. When that recipe's done, you get 3 cakes out of it. You do that 100 times, you get 300 cakes. It's crazy the amount of money you can make. Your investment is minimal and your return is huge. Now, when you're signing up for these parties, and there is a website to sign up for these parties, I'll probably cover it in a future video. Cake parties, you can sign up for the oven. The oven, you don't put anything in but your time. You stand there, you cook a cake, you take the cake out, you're done. You get 3 cakes per run for free without having to put any input. Now, personally, I don't like picking that one a whole lot. I like to try and trade off. Sometimes I'll go for it, but then sometimes I'll jump into something more expensive like the cake batter, which requires flour, eggs, and sugar, I believe it is, or butter, something like that. And I'll jump into that and do that, which is a little more expensive. So I try to keep it balanced just because I don't like just doing the cooking and not actually giving input. So depending on, if the last cake party I just cooked, the next one I'll bring some ingredients or something, or maybe do some of the fruit frosting with my apples or something, But so cooking makes you a good bit of money, and especially the bigger your party, the more you split that cost up between the whole group, and you still get the same output in the end, which is super, super nice. That being said, it does matter what you put into the food. So if you're cooking, say, trout dinner, and you use a common trout versus a rare trout, the common trout, the final food's going to be cheaper if you're trying to sell it, whereas the rare trout is going to be more expensive. If you're making a generic fish, let's say you're making sushi, say you want to make some sushi, you got a ton of fish, you want to sell your sushi, so you're making some sushi with a couple friends. You've got basic Bahari bass, that stuff's common, no big deal, blah blah blah. Your sushi's going to come out, it's going to be good, it's going to have more profit on it than when you put it in, it's going to be good profit. But if you're not using Bahari bass, but instead you use that legendary Moz shark from Elderwoods, that thing's gonna come out the other end like super high priced. Like you're gonna have some fancy sushi there. So it does matter what goes into it. So that being said, that's kind of the trick when it comes to Palia as a whole, is everything you craft generally increases the value. So if you're taking wood and turning it into logs, generally that's going to make it more valuable. If you're taking let's say for instance you're taking your tomatoes and you're putting them into a preserves jar and you're making fermented tomatoes, that's going to be more valuable than the tomatoes themselves. Then you can take that and put it into the actual pickled tomatoes, put them into a glowworm farm, and you're going to get glowworms, which you can use for fishing to make more money, or you're going to get fertilizer, which gives you, I believe the pickled tomatoes would give you the harvest boost, which you can turn around, put back on your property, and get more crops per harvest. So that's kind of the way the Palia system works, is everything feeds into everything else. You go mining and chopping down trees, and that allows you to craft arrows so you can go do some hunting, which gives you fur and gives you meat, which you can use to do cooking, which increases your focus. You can level faster, or it gives you a buff so you can fish better and you can catch more fish, which then you can take the fish, turn around and make more buffs, and and vice versa. It's a system where everything seems to interconnect, and the more you do, the more you put into stuff, the more you get out. For instance, if you have a bunch of excess meat, I had this issue. If you have a bunch of excess hunting meat and you don't want to cook with it and it's just too much to deal with, put it in a glowworm farm. That's going to automatically increase the output. It's going to give you glowworms. It's going to give you fertilizer, which you can use to boost your crops and boost your fishing and make even more money in the long run. It's a cycle. So the key in Palia is just to, first off, I do what I enjoy. Second off, keep a running garden. It's always worth it. Get as many crafters as you can. Put them all down. Whether it be seed collectors, whether it be preserve jars, put them all down. Or whether it be glowworm farms. And then let them feed each other so that way you can maximize your ultimate profit out of each individual piece. It's all a waiting game. Check on it every now and then, top it off, come back later. It's all just a waiting game is what it really is. That's the best way to make money in Palia, is just to let everything you do feed everything else you do. It's very interconnected, and that's just the best way I can describe it. There are some things I want to cover, which are some common mistakes you can make to cost you money. Things you should consider when you're playing. First off, selling too many raw materials too early. You might want a lot of gold early on so you can buy some of the cool stuff, but make sure you save a good bit of your raw materials, because if you run out, you're going to have to go hunting for it again, and you might be trying to do something now, and you have to, okay, I have to go, I need to go hunting. Well, earlier, I ran out of logs. Oh, great. I got to go hunt some logs down so I can make some more arrows so I can go hunting. There are other ways you can get certain things. That takes me to my next common mistakes area. It's not necessarily a mistake, but crafting every little thing is not always necessary. For instance, you can buy, if you need worms, I don't make worms. I buy worms from Zeki because I rather craft glowworms and sell off the excess glowworms and buy a couple worms that I rarely use than to have a worm farm down and get less profit out of my stuff. I don't use worms very often, so glowworms is where it's at. So if I do need worms, I go pick them up at Zeki's shop, as well as the bug bags. Bug bags are $10 a dozen. You can pick them up at Zeki's for super cheap. You don't have to go get some clay and get some of the other stuff, whatever, to craft it. To me, it's not worth the time. Go buy some from Zeki's, especially once you get some money rolling. Buy them from Zeki's. Spend your time doing other profitable stuff, and don't waste time trying to craft the super, super basic stuff like that. As well as keep an eye on repairing your tools. Once you get your tools upgraded to a certain level, you have to repair them. You can repair them just by spending money over at Sifu's. And that is a valuable use if you don't have a lot of repair materials and you don't want to spend time crafting and all that. That is a very valuable way to repair your tools. Just get some gold, boom, you're done. But once you get a steady supply of materials coming in, for instance, copper and sapwood, if you got a ton of that stuff, make it into repair kits. Why not? It saves you money. If you get a ton of iron and the heartwood, why not make a bunch of repair kits out of that and save you time and money? Or if you eventually you get into elder woods and you end up with a ton of pallium and the ancient wood, make repair kits out of that. Saves you money like crazy. I've got a good bit of pallium going right now and I keep collecting it. So for me, pallium isn't an issue, and I can make 60 repair kits with 1 pallium and I think 1 ancient wood. Crazy. Why would I not craft that? And so that way I can easily repair my stuff when I'm out in the wild or even when I'm at home, and just top up on repair kits every now and then. You can hold 999 in one slot. Super useful. So just kind of keep an eye on stuff like that, on maximizing your time and what you're doing and what you're making and how much money you're making on it versus just buying some of the miscellaneous stuff that you might need. For instance, if you need spice sprouts, you can buy them at Zeki's. I don't want to go around gathering a bunch of spice sprouts forever just to cook a couple recipes with some friends. I'm going to go pick up like a stack at Zeki's and be done with it, and then go spend my time making more money in the long run, doing other more profitable activities that I enjoy. So just kind of keep that balance in mind and kind of keep track of what you're doing and as you go forward, and making sure you're not spending money uselessly, but also you're not spending time uselessly. It's kind of a balance. So just kind of time management, money management theory, basically. Lastly, there are multiple ways to make money in Palia. Ultimately, do what you enjoy. Keep a passive garden in your house. Make sure you're making the most out of every single material by crafting it into other things, or putting it into a glowworm farm, putting it into a preserve jar, etc. What I mentioned earlier, the cake parties, you can actually take the cakes from the cake parties, dump them in your glowworm farms, and 5 starred cakes will fill your glowworm farm full. That is a ton of money. That increases your profitability of your cakes after the party. It's a balancing game. So just, if you can and you have time and you have space, dump stuff in glowworm farms. If you run out of time and space and you have too much material to put into your farms or to put in your preserves, you can sell it. But that's the trick, is to keep everything running and then sell the overflow. Keep everything running, sell the overflow. That's kind of my system I use. Make sure everything's full. If there's overflow, get rid of it. Make sure everything's full. If there's overflow, get rid of it. Boom, boom, boom. Just keep that cycle going. If you have more tips, please let us know. That's kind of my experience in Palia, but if you have any ideas or any hints or anything you want to share with us, please let us know in the comments. this game is very social. It's all about sharing our information and our tips with each other. So please do share that if you will. If this helped you, please subscribe, please comment and like. I really, really do enjoy making these videos and seeing people actually being able to use the tips and stuff and go forward with them in Palia and make their experience a little bit better. It is a really fun game, something I'm clearly sticking with for the long haul because I'm enjoying it so much. If you do like watching my videos and stuff, maybe check me out. I stream Monday through Friday generally at 5 p.m. Central Time. I stream here on YouTube as well as on Twitch, so if you want to, come hang out and chat. I like to get video ideas from people in my chats, and sometimes this is one of the videos I got from one of my friends. So if you do have any ideas, stuff like that, please share them. I do appreciate you all. I hope this helped, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good day, everybody.